best be cleaning out your ears. The moment has arrived, the greatest podcast on earth is here. Reverse engineering propaganda fear, like a UFO with bombardier. Simulating we'll lose, making crystal clear. Stomping all you gay frogs, toppling the throne of Magog. I'll level holding down a day job. So tell me where my sheep will at. Raise your hands and make them clap, but shut the fuck up, that's enough of that. The hosts are about to spit some straight up facts. Tell you where the Templars stashed their cash. Describe what Katie Couric looks like underneath their mask. Exposing these goblins no matter where they're at. Stay tuned for all of that.
Alright, Abu, do you want to introduce everybody?
Yeah, hello guys. I'm just a friendly neighborhood Muslim.
Never mind, mute yourself. That's fine. We're fine. So welcome to Popularity Contest. We're doing a round table tonight. I got myself Will Lose. Original Simulant is here as always. Say hello.
Hello, everyone.
He's trying out a new impersonation. Not a lot of Bane impersonators out there that are under 50. We're also joined by Abu over at the UK. He's our Muslim friend,
but also a proud subject of the Queen. So don't get it wrong. You know.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Welcome, Abu. And then we're joined by Buck Cherry. He's also a member over here on the Popularity Contest Discord server. Say what up, Buck.
What up, Buck?
There you go. Very good. And we're joined by the young Kazooie, who I think is going to start producing for us here. He's essentially useless, but we like him anyway. Say what up, Kazooie, if you're there.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Howdy.
All right, so tonight we're just hanging out. We're some of us are having some drinks. Usually just me and Russ. Everyone else is probably sober, but we've just been hanging out here drinking, and we're just gonna just go over some bullshit. So, yeah, I was in the Blink-182 band for a little while. That was humiliating to mention out loud to everybody. Russ was in a band, though. You were a singer in a band.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, what kind of music did you guys play?
Not Blink-182, boss.
What did you play?
Nothing. I was the singer, so it was pretty much worthless.
You did original songs.
Yeah, of course. Well, you guys did, didn't you guys do?
Oh yeah, I had bands that I did original songs. I was in a death metal band too. That was all original.
I've seen the videos and I've heard the music, and it was
good. Not good.
Well, I don't think any of that music's good. But
did you say death metal and original in the same sentence? That's all the fucking same.
Okay, what do you listen to, Buck?
Not fucking gay shit like that.
Hot mic on Buck.
Coming in hot, yeah. Tell us what you listen to.
I'll mute myself. I'm fine.
Kazooie has heard your band, your death metal band, and what did you think of it, Kazooie?
I love death metal.
No, but
that's not good.
What did you think of what did you think of Willow's band, his death metal band, when I shared those videos with you at ID Conspire?
I saw a lot of potential.
There you go.
Yeah, that was really kind.
Lots of potential.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. That's kind words. Yeah, that was back when I was like 20 and 21 years old. So it was not good. It was not good. I was just trying my best. That was like my first like real carny thing that I ever participated in, because like I tried to we did the whole show. I got the light show, come on stage, backs to the audience, turn the light show on, hit the first doom doom doom, turn around, and then just see a bunch of people just shaking their head no.
Well, there's a bunch of people. That's good, at least.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it was like a legitimate band, so I got to play in large venues in Chicago for a few thousand people and stuff. So it was kind of cool. But I
guarantee it.
Yeah, I didn't get anywhere with it though, and I never would have, because I didn't know what I was doing anyway. And nobody likes death metal. That's the other thing. It's really terrible. I listened to it when I was
very niche.
Yeah, it's not good. But before we start recording, we were talking about all of the nuclear hoaxes. I thought that was kind of interesting, and all the theories surrounding the potentials for the nuclear hoax. Because I remembered seeing that video of.
Are you pronouncing it incorrectly on purpose?
Nuclear.
There you go.
What did I say?
No, not that.
Edit that out, Kazooie. We're gonna go ahead and edit that out. Kazooie, are you there?
Time. Mark the time on that, will you?
Is it nuclear or nuclear?
Oh God, get off the mic, Kazooie. Get off the mic. Okay, all right.
Well, it's not as nuclear or nuclear.
Okay, well, Kazooie, could you also edit out your whole self out of the show for now? So if you can figure out how to do that in post, you can go ahead and do that too. But I remembered watching those videos, that were on YouTube, passing around of that guy Galen, who was worked for like the Nuclear Safety something commission, and he was like a carny that would travel. He was like a traveling carny, and he would people would pay money to come see him, sit in the room, and then he would eat uranium supposedly, and then say that he used to go swimming inside of the cooling pools back in like the 70s or whatever, and he was just like, nuclear energy is real and it is not dangerous. What do you remember seeing those, Russ?
Yeah, Galen Windsor. Was that his name?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, Galen Windsor.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and he would eat the. What did he eat? The uranium or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to make some astounding claims here.
He would get
eat something like the plutonium or the uranium or the
uranium 235.
That's you just eat it, right?
Yeah.
And then he would. But he did die kind of young. I mean, just saying.
The video I saw, he died the next day. No, I don't know. Whatever. Right?
That was always very interesting stuff. Just like like the Chris Kindle from Hoaxbusters used to bring up the Chernobyl hoax and how the story was that in a world where love is outlaw,
yes,
radiation, but
faking gay,
in a world beset by radiation, only two men survive.
In a world where nuclear energy is fake and gay, but real. What did he say though?
He said that it was like, you see this, you hear this story, and then you see these videos, these mainstream created constructs about to support the narrative or propaganda. Goddamn, why couldn't I think of the word? Just propaganda.
You're retarded.
About Chernobyl. And they're saying this after the accident, this world, this part of the land will be uninhabitable for 500 years and shit. And then they're evacuating the nearby towns and stuff. But
they show the video. They show the video.
Go back, and there's fucking deer there.
Right.
5 years later, there's birds are still there.
That's not how they do it.
Deer.
That's not how they present it. They show the video. They have the reporter there talking. We're at Chernobyl right now, where there was the nuclear meltdown happening, blah blah blah. Yeah, and it is an inhabitable place. And then there'll be a deer running in the background behind him. Right?
Like a turkey, like a wild turkey.
Yeah.
You're like, well, fuck. That doesn't seem that dangerous.
Right.
All these animals.
I remember Chris from Hoaxbusters call. He would say, he's like, it's like a nature preserve. He was real about that. He would always bring that up. He's like, it was a nature preserve. You could have sex with the deer. You would be fine.
Isn't there a nature preserve in the demilitarized zone in North Korea too, between North and South Korea? I think there might. If I knew we were going to talk about this, I would have done a little more research on that. But I believe the demilitarized zone, the DMZ, separating North and South Korea, is also some kind of habitat where maybe some species of tiger or something. It's the only place in the world they live now.
Interesting.
But it just so happens that they able to convert this land, which is uninhabitable for it always starts so high too. It's 10,000 million years, and then it's 20 years later it's down to 200 years, and then 40 years later it's down to 15 years from now people will be able to go back there.
And they never mentioned it. I was watching this documentary there. It was extreme vacation people or whatever, and they go on vacations into dangerous places, and they were going to Fukushima or something, and they were on a bus, and they're like, oh, if this meter goes off, then you gotta get back on the fucking bus, and the meter would go off, and then the music would get very dramatic, very bum bum dun 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 bum bum, speed up, and the guy would be like, is this dangerous? And the tour guide would be like, nah, it's perfectly fine. And the music would stop. Like, what? So at what point is it dangerous? I don't know. I mean, I worked at nuke plants before for my job. I built some electrical panels to control the cooling pumps. And, like, the first red flag to me, I don't know, it might be legitimate and everything, but, like, a red flag to me was that they let me build their stuff for them. You know what I mean? I was like, you don't even know, like, I'm a retard. You know what I mean? Like, why would you let me, like, trust me to build the panel that, like, controls the cooling pumps? The whole thing will melt if, and, like, you know what I would do? Like, so that they thought it was legit, I would build it, I would wire it, everything, right? And then I would slap an American flag sticker on the side.
So they knew you were tight.
Yeah.
You got to get some Sonic stickers. I'll hook you up with some.
Yeah, that'd be
Slap
cool.
one of those on the side. That
Yeah.
would be cool.
I went to the nuke plant and I was like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Because I'm like, this is probably not real. You know, I was like skeptical going in, and I'm looking around, and there's crazy security to get there, and it's so compartmentalized. I learned nothing. There was no way for me to know anything. So I can't tell what they're doing there, generating energy, or if it's dangerous. Really, I had no access to anything, and I got like in there. So it's like I learned nothing. I went in there skeptical, trying to find out, and I couldn't figure out anything. So these people that claim that they know, who haven't even been to the places, like I would love to understand, other than the fact that they watch some YouTube videos.
Would you compare that situation to like the Manhattan Project, like where supposedly lots of staff members, like over in thousands, they didn't know like that the project was for a specific purpose? Wasn't it to do with nuclear weapons as well or something?
The atomic bomb project the Trinity is to do with the Trinity bomb test, where curiously enough the same site as the Babylon the Babylon working of Crowley and what was her name, Marjorie, the woman in red, I can't remember her name now, Marjorie something, Aleister Crowley and L. Ron Hubbard, or no, Jack Parsons and this Marjorie woman,
Regardless,
had gone and done the Babylon working there at the site of the I was at the Alamogordo in New Mexico, in the some lonely stretch of desert highway, last known home to the Manson family. But then
what the hell? It's just all carnies surrounding the whole story.
No, that part's not true. That's from Hunter Thompson.
Oh.
But no, there are carnies surrounding the whole fucking Manhattan Project. Yeah, that the part with the Babylon working is true. That they created that they did the ritual on the site that would later be.
I looked into
I'm testing. Holy fuck! I guess Sabu's turn to talk.
No, I was just saying because you mentioned a familiar name, Jack Parsons, and I think he has a personal diary, saying he communicated with an entity called Valerian of Dajjal, and he was into, occultism and stuff. Do you know about that? About his personal diary?
I've read some of his books, but not his personal diary. No.
Oh.
What's interesting about all these carnies that are surrounding a lot of these things, is specifically the people with like JPL, Jet Propulsion Labs, so like Jack Parsons and these fucking people, and they all the occult stuff that's surrounding them, and nobody ever talks about that when they like try to take like a mainstream legitimate look at these things, that like all these guys were like claiming to be like wizards and shit,
Oh yeah. No, it's conveniently ignored in the mainstream literature.
It is. My favorite part of the whole thing was Oppenheimer after the fact, after they dropped the bombs. Remember that?
Oh yeah, where he's become death from the it's not from the Bhagavad Gita. I don't think it's from
the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, he's like whatever it was, but it was like
that's the one sucks.
Krishna. The Vishnu,
yeah, he was
Vishnu,
the destroyer,
death, the destroyer of world.
Yeah, and he was like, where'd you pull that out of, man? You pulled that just out of your ass right now? Like, you just looked at the camera and you're like, I'm the destroyer of death? Like, imagine.
No, he's a poet. Like when he went, supposedly the memos from was it Eisenhower, or maybe no, I think it was Truman, who'd met with Oppenheimer. He just hated this guy. He fucking hated him. And he's like, called him a poet stuff. He's like, just don't ever bring the fucking poet in here ever again, because he's all been out of shape about the consequences of the fake atomic bombs. But he had been, Abu might know about, do you know about how Oppenheimer had gone to Israel prior to this, prior to his
Nope.
work? Yeah, he'd gone to Israel and had one of these religious experiences. And like from there, he became quite interested in all this eschatology and esotericism prior to his work on the bomb. But then it just so happens that he's the one selected to be part of this project. But you're talking about the compartmentalization of it. I was talking to a guy in the lodge one time, actually, interestingly enough, who had worked at Westinghouse, I think. And he was telling me that, or not just me, but all the guys at the table, that they were, when he was working there, they were building some kind of aircraft bomb or something like that. But that they didn't know what they were necessarily working on either. They were working on certain aspects of something, but they didn't know what it was. Let's say it was like a timing mechanism or something, right? So they're only given like the parameters for the thing that they need to build, and nothing to do with anything else of it. But he said that they would get together at lunch with the other guys from the other departments, and they would talk, and from that they would be able to figure out what it was they were working on.
Well, it's like the moon landing, where they subcontracted out like 300 companies across the United States, so then everybody feels like they had a part, or like knew somebody that had a part in making building the rocket ship. And it's like, well, he's like, my grandpa, he worked on the fucking Apollo moon landing. He's like, no, he built the door hinge. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Idaho. Like he, it's like, he doesn't know shit. That doesn't mean anything to me.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, they subcontract out everything. The government doesn't necessarily have a facility to build all this shit. They have to subcontract all of it out.
Right.
So, which is why the marriage of industry and government, the idea that business and government is separate is just a joke.
Oh yeah, it's completely intertwined, because I work with this kind of stuff all the time. Like, I've actually worked at a Boeing plant before. Like, I had to do electrical controls for there, and it was just all I did was build a control panel that automated a cleaning station for some like parts. It was nothing much. But when I was watching that, the part I was at was it was connected to Boeing, but it was actually a different place called I think Aerospace or something like this. It was called, and all they did is build like turbine engines or whatever. So I just got to see those, and they're just normal mechanics and stuff, and they didn't have anything to do with anything. So it's like I can see how like it's not only compartmentalized, but it's like these places were across the street from each other, and these people, they never leave their stations. They don't know anything. They're just very specific, job to do, and that's what they do. And
This is why it's so important in like whistleblowing and stuff, when people talk about being like a whistleblower, an insider, that the idea in conspiracy culture is that like if you say the wrong thing, then like, oh my God, you're going to be
you're not allowed to be wrong. You're not allowed to be wrong.
Well, not at the carny level, but I mean at the super carny level. Like if one of these top dogs, came out and said something, the moon landing is fake or whatever, it's kind of one thing, that they would be killed or something like that, or some kind of punishment. But it's kind of one thing to say stuff, but it's a whole other thing to be able to prove it, to have the documents, and to have the blueprints, to have the documents, to have the internal documentation. So, now proving that those are real is a whole other animal, but like, that's why, it's kind of it's given short shrift, the idea of like, well, where's the evidence,
Oh yeah,
so,
I came to that conclusion a long time ago, that a lot of the stuff that I believed in like the conspiracy world was just based off of unprovable leaks and different types of documents that I can't prove. But what I could prove was a lot of inconsistencies in media and narratives. So it's like you can extrapolate from there, but a lot of the things that people claim that they know, it's like I can't verify that stuff. It's like mainstream stuff,
especially when they claim that someone else knows something too.
Right.
It's like, well, how the fuck do you know what they know? You don't even know what you know.
Oh yeah, and
how do you know what they know?
Most of these people don't even actually read that potential source document anyway. They just listen to some carny on YouTube telling it.
That's right. Or and depending on the skill level of the carny, he can, produce some documents for you to see. But then it's like, well, track them down yourself too. And a good YouTube carny will provide you the links or tell you how to get there. Tell you to do it on your own.
We will not do that.
No, hell no. I ain't got no time for none of that shit. But I'll tell you what, if you want to look into like source material hoax, go to johnlebon.com. He's done some fine work in exposing the source material hoax. So is Take No Gnosis. So
true. Yeah.
Those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're like on that stuff. That was pretty eye opening. Some of the stuff that I went through. I didn't realize it was so attainable to once you accept a lot of the primary source documents and all this stuff just aren't there, as claimed at least. So it's like at the very least, some of the stuff might be real, might not completely be fake, but it is a hoax in that the primary source documents that they claim are not valid references.
No, they'll trace back to they all go back to some. You can trace the branches back to some certain tree. Then it's like, well, where did this come from? Where did this one thing come from? What was the origin of this?
Right, and this is
then it's just some guys. Then it's always some guy's claim. Okay, well, right. I see.
And this is common. This this idea that you just got to trust a guy. Same thing with all the COVID stuff. Everybody, all these scientists and everything coming out, and it's like, and the people that are telling me that I have to trust these scientists, they're like, well, the difference between you and me is that I believe in science, and I'm like, okay, well, if you believe in science, you might as well believe in Jesus, because you can't. That's just a belief system. You don't believe in science. You know what I mean? You don't just believe in these people. Science isn't a belief system. It's a fucking tool to measure, hopefully, some version of the truth eventually. But it's not a belief system. So you're just as fucked as anybody else.
Well, yeah, it's just it's like a methodology, and it's not even it's just like a prescribed methodology, and it's fine to believe in it, to believe that this prescribed methodology has some value, but if you ask these people to define what that value is or why it has value, it just collapses. And if you ask it if it can prove itself, it can't, of course. But even beyond that, it's like, well, what is science? So it's the scientific method. Okay, fine. Then what does that mean? Well, observation, hypothesis, experimentation, verification of all this shit. Well, what is it like? You're still getting back to believing in people, So, right. Like you said, might as well just not just might as well. I mean, you ought to believe in Jesus. Even our Muslim comrade Abu believes in Jesus, right?
Is that true, Abu?
Absolutely, yeah.
Peace be upon him, yeah.
Peace be upon it.
All right, absolutely. Just making sure, motherfucker.
And so and these are men, right? So it's well, yeah. Why not believe in but they're they always want to put it into some kind of collectivization, right? It's all very Soviet. So it's this system, the method. Well, you could believe in to the Jesus example or whatever. You just say, well, I believe this person said this because these people say he did. That's a whole different and more natural, really, way to kind of derive knowledge or at least narrative than to say I believe this this almost idolistic hand has just prescribed something. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Science says. Science doesn't say that. It's literally just like saying God says it.
It's the same thing. That's what I'm saying. You might as well believe in Jesus if you're going to say you believe in science, because it's always these atheist types that they talk like this. It's a very pretentious way of talking, and they're implying a lot when they say this. They're implying you don't believe anything about science. That's really what they're saying. They're not letting you know that I believe in the scientific method. They're letting you know that they believe that you don't give a shit about anything that has to do with science. It's like this. These people that are like, the Republicans are the party of anti-science, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know a lot of people in the Republican Party that seem to be pretty anti-science. But what about the scientists that are Republicans, right? What about the doctors? What about the what are you talking about? Anti-science? And they're like, well, they don't believe in it. And again, it's like, well, it's not a fucking belief system. I don't have to tell you.
Yeah, but it is. It becomes a belief system, like everything. It becomes an idol, So then it's just all tossed up in the idol. And so, like, what happens when Abraham goes and smashes all the idols? In the story, like the Bible story, is like Abraham's dad. They're chilling in Ur, right? And Abraham's dad is like an idol maker. It's a fine job to have, right? And Abraham's a kid, and his dad's like, watch the store. I'm going to, sacrifice some kids.
Idol maker is a like a publicist nowadays.
Oh yeah. PR.
Yeah.
Well, he's like a gimmick maker, really.
Like
So he's like, yeah, absolutely. So then he goes to the thing, and he comes, and then while he's gone, Abraham smashes all the idols. Takes the axe out of the big idol's hand, and he goes and smashes all the other idols. And he puts it back in the big idol's hand, and the dad comes back, and he's like, "What the fuck did you do, you bitch?" And he's like, "Well," he's like, "It wasn't me." He's like, "The big one did it." He's like, "The big one was mad at the other ones, so he smashed them all." He's like, "The big one is just a fucking statue. He can't smash these other fucking things."
Right.
And then Abraham says, "Listen to what you're saying," And then the dad's like, "All right." And then then like the mob goes and picks Abraham up and tries to go throw him off a cliff, but he escapes. He escapes that fate.
How would that sound? The mob was going to take Abraham off the cliff.
Oh, I can't do it. I can't think of it at the moment.
You could do like this Jew motherfucker out of here. We got to get this motherfucker. Throw him overboard. I don't know if that's Italian.
It's kind of urban. But,
too urban. Yeah.
Abu, is that similar to your people's false tale of Abraham?
Our perspective. You mentioned the story from the biblical account, and actually, it's very similar to what we believe in, because we do believe that the Islam or the Quran is essentially like in Arabic it's called a dhikr, a remembrance, a reminder. So we believe that God, reiterates story from the past, that we believe to be true. And you mentioned the story with the idols and the father and them trying to kill them. It's actually a mirror image of one of our accounts of Abraham. And we believe, he was a staunch monotheist, and he shunned and destroyed the idols and stuff. So.
And then created the greatest idols that there are.
We don't
Jews.
Yeah, right? So this idea, Abraham's like, he destroys the idols. Meanwhile, everybody now just worships the Jews, which is fine. I have nothing against these people, but I'm just pointing out what's happened. That's hardly, anyway. I don't know. What did you bring
Don't get
up?
Abu going on jihad here.
Yeah, Christmas is coming up. Are you guys celebrating Christmas, Abu?
No, I'm not. No.
No? Do you guys have any of these
Any similar
religions? Yeah, like the Christmas type things that you do over there?
So what we have is we have
9/11?
2 Eids. I have to be careful with that one. CIA might be watching. No, I'm joking. I'm against 9/11. But we have 2 Eids, Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr. One of them is we believe in the story of obviously Abraham sacrificing.
Wait, you're gonna tell me the story? I just want to know if you had one. It's a yes or no question.
I know.
Yes
It's
or no
related,
question.
It's related.
No, this is yes or no. What did Abraham's story get brought up for? What was that about?
Because
Because you mentioned holiday, right? So we
the
have
most important part. I thought he was asking.
No,
Hold on.
that's what I'm asking. What was the story? Why did you bring up the story of Abraham?
I brought it up. The story of Abraham because at the end he says, think of what you're saying. He brings up the contradiction to his own dad. He brings the brutal contradiction, right? That the idols can't destroy each other because they're just clay statues, right? And it's just like the science thing. It's like the fucking science can't talk, bro. It's like, so what happens is they just want to throw them off the cliff. So what happens when you bring up the contradictions and the idolatry of people? They don't say, "Oh, thank God you showed me the error of my ways." Oh, how wonderful of you. What they do is want to throw you off a cliff, even if you're a child.
Right. See, I used to be a part of like an evangelical Southern Baptist church my whole childhood, so I've been through like the cults. Exactly. I've been through a cult. I've You know what I mean? I've gone to like the giant mega churches where they have the carnies come out and they go like, can we all, 5,000 of these Christians all sitting there. Can we start off with a prayer, y'all? And they come out, they're all white. I don't know why I did a black preacher. They're white. They go, they do the prayer and he's like, we just want to let you know that we're sponsored by Pepsi tonight. You know what I mean? It's like this full kind of shit. But I was there and I got out. So like I don't have to deal, like I understand like what it's like to be in a cult, you know what I mean? What it's like to have like religion, how to have faith. You know what I mean? I still have faith. I think faith's good. And a lot of these people that don't have faith in their life, that's what I think makes it so easy for them to like, they're just going to replace that shit with like the state. It's the same thing. It's like
they do have faith. They just have it in something else.
Right.
They don't have it in a God or even themselves or anything else. They have it in something. They have it in something. And it's, the state or collectivism in some form, some Soviet. The word Soviet means collective. So some Soviet fucking ideology or another. It looks like Buck has posted a few links in the popularity contest podcast Discord server, which I think we're going to do we're going to open the Discord server, right? Is that what we're going to do for a limited time here?
Yeah. So
have an open enrollment. You're muted, by the way, if you're trying to talk there.
Yeah, no, I wasn't trying to talk. I was just moving my mouth a lot.
Okay. We're going to have some open enrollment for a week, the week after this drops. So if you want to join the Discord, then this would be the time to do it. We'll have a link right in the YouTube video. And then
what do you say?
After that, it will only be for Patreon. So get in while you can. Buck has also dropped some links, though, the links he did drop were to the Chernobyl tour and to the nature reserve in the demilitarized zone in North Korea.
I guess we do should provide links here. Look at Buck's like our producer too. Nice try.
Well,
you have to play
Kumite.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that if I was on like some like Muslim conspiracy people's podcast, that every time I tried to talk, they would call me a faggot? Kind of like what's going on?
No, they're very respectful. Yeah. I've talked to these people before. I've talked to the people of the book, my brothers in God. You have some kind of different evil God, but like these people, right? No, they're very respectful. In my experience. So,
what about the ones that rode planes into those buildings?
Those people didn't exist, so I don't think
okay. All right,
you have to worry about them.
Okay, all right.
They flew planes. They didn't ride them.
No, they didn't do anything in them. They rode planes. That's my bad, y'all. That's okay. Fuck.
Yeah, so
you wanted to say they were riding camels.
Wow, okay, Buck, you got. Damn, bring in the don't.
I can't.
Don't more heel.
God,
too much heat. Too much heat.
Yeah.
Kazooie coming. Well,
Buck is our resident racist, so we feel that. But anyway, we got the Discord going. We are going to, like you said, the limited time. Then it's going to be open up only to Patreon. So you just come on over. It's not like there's a lot of these YouTube carnies, like conspiracy carnies, that like they try to sell you like it's some sort of like truth or think tank that you're going to get in when you like join their shit. Like pay me, this money, and then we're going to like get to the bottom of things. And then you go there, and it's more like an autistic fish tank. You know what I mean? There's like nothing really. It's just like a normal Discord. You just hang out, but like it's a lot of people spiraling and kind of depressing sometimes. Sometimes some of them are perfectly fine. But ours, we're just hanging out. We're just like, this is just like a fun, it's like social media. And we go into shit too, but it's like, we're not selling you like we're going to get to the bottom of things. This is just like full honestly. We're just having a good time. And it's fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of places. There's every place else to go where you can do that. Not every place. And some places are much, much better than others. But I'm not trying to compete with that, I'm not trying to compete with that. Like, we're trying to do something else. We're more for the people who, I mean, let's be frank. If you're into conspiracy theories and you've been doing this for a long time, or at least a little while, I've been in this shit for God, man.
How long?
I'm trying to think now. 20 years?
8?
15? 20. No, 20 years.
Oh my goodness. What is that? What are you?
20 years probably.
What was that? Let me do. What was that? 1974?
Well, hold on. When was 9/11? No. When was 9/11? It was
September
2001.
11th. It was September 11th.
Okay. I was thinking October. Okay. No, 18 years, something like that, right? Drifting in and out. I became lapsed for a little while in it, but then I got back into it for the last 8 years or so, much more aggressively. But god dang. But the thing is that you have, like, if you've been doing this for a while, there's, what we provide is like we're not going to give you like what you want, which is conspiracy candy. Right. We're going to give you what you need, which is an acknowledgement of your addiction to conspiracy information, to the truth, and, a place to commiserate, and we're not going to try to pretend that there isn't some shame associated with this and pain.
It should be there.
Because
it should be there.
Yeah, there should be. Yeah, some shame and pain, because you try to talk to people about this stuff, and they're like, you can only deal with that rejection, with your chin up for so long, before it's like, oh god damn, you either give up, like trying to proselytize, or you double down and become a radical. So I'm hardly any kind of radical.
Not SJW. What's it? Truth, Justice Warrior. TJW. Truth, Justice Warrior. ID Conspired.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So you can be and that's really just a cover for the shame and pain too, because I'm a fan of conspiracy theories,
Absolutely.
Right? I'm a fan of the information. I'm a fan of the process. And I'm a fan of being part of it, but
you speak the language.
That's right. Where else am I going to go? Where else am I going to go?
If you speak the language, you want to be around a culture of people that understand. That's what real culture is, right? People. This is what I like about like what we do is we allow people like just come in. We don't all agree on things. It's perfectly reasonable conversation about stuff, and it's not you don't have to be like a part of like we're the people that believe that the Twin Towers were fucking dildos, and they weren't there. It's like whatever, just come over, hang out. We all speak the same language. Let's have a good time and get to the bottom of some stuff if we're wanting to. Whatever, we go over news stories and stuff. Just hanging out. Now, What was funny was when you were going into it, I actually opened up a screen into the general, and there were 2 dildos on the screen right away. So that's not 100% typical, but it's like
those are annihilators.
Yeah, it was like 99% typical.
Thank you, Kazooie. What's the annihilator exactly, Kazooie?
Yeah, get into that. That sounds like a hoax to me.
The annihilator weighs about 9 pounds.
9 pounds. 9 pounds in that ass.
Yeah.
That's like the popularity contest podcast. It's in that ass. It's where you need it. It's where you're going to get it. You might not want it there, but it's where you need it.
Yeah, this is we're like Batman in the Dark Knight. Like when everybody turned on him, but it's like this is the guy that this is who you need. They're like, we need Harvey Dent right now. They're like, Batman's not the hero that we want. It's the hero we need. It's like, this is what it is. You need someone to tell you what you are. I'm not going to like cherry pick it. You're an addict and you suck. And so do we. You know what I mean? So just come hang out with us. It's fun. And just be around people. That's all we're saying. We just want to help entertain. There's a lot of people doing pretty depressing shit sometimes. And sometimes it's just nice for some fucking levity. You know what I mean? And you might not want this, but you're going to need it. And we are going to shove it in your ass.
That's exactly right. And if you want to hear, our more serious takes on things, maybe we could do those here. But I think, we have stuff on other platforms, individually where we get much more into our authentic kind of feelings about some of these things and our opinions. And,
what do you mean?
What I mean is it's just out there. Like I've done some interviews with TNG.
Sure.
You've done some stuff on Fakeologist and JLB and stuff, or johnlebon.com. And you can find our stuff out there. But the stuff, by what I mean is like that the fucking that there's an analog, practically a 1-to-1 analog between the language of computing and the language of like human consciousness, that they've overlapped the one to the other, and that really from my perspective, it's almost undeniable that the human mind is being mined, through the internet, or via the internet.
Yeah.
So
it's just it's the same thing they do with everything, with pharmaceuticals, with all of it. There's synthetic copies of things that exist in nature and a replication to the best of the ability.
Right.
It's the same exact thing. Yeah. Like we were talking about parallel computing the other day. I thought that was pretty interesting. The idea of all of the go ahead and explain it. You better explain it.
I'm a little drunker. Just the idea that you can have multiple systems. I hate the idea of the human being a computer. I appreciate that it's a useful analogy, but I hate to give the impression that I believe that a human is a computer, because that's not what I believe. But
right. That's why I said it's a synthetic copy to the best of their ability. Right.
Right.
I agree completely.
But it's just, but it's so easy to get bound up in the language where it's where all of a sudden you're almost defending a position you don't actually have, just to clearly articulate the existence of the superstructure. But
it's just an analogy. Yeah, you're just using an analogy. You're
you'd think an analogy is you'd think saying it's an analogy has some kind of meaning, but it's I think what he meant by analogy is it's exactly the same.
Right.
Yeah, and I go, but anyway, with that fucking useless caveat, it's the idea that
it's like when somebody's saying they're trying to make an example and they go, it's like when you're banging a fat chick, and you're and then you're like, oh, are you a person that bangs fat chicks? He's like, no, it's just an analogy. You're
they're like, well, how do you know what it's like then?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so in this case, it actually is just an analogy. The go ahead, parallel computing.
It's why does it have anal in the title? Well, I can't help that. I didn't create the fucking word. But parallel computing is an idea where a system has, or a computer or a system has only so much resources and only so much computing capacity that can devote to one, let's just call it a problem, while it's also maintaining all, spending its resources to maintain its other necessary functional requirements, it's operating the fan and that kind of nuts and bolts stuff. So it can only do so much to solve the 7,000 bit string algorithm equation. So it can only do so much of it at so much of a speed. Now, maybe it can do it instantly, or maybe it can do it in, let's say, 10 minutes. Well, if you break that problem up into 10 different parts, let's say, and spread that over the course of 10 different unique systems, 10 different separate computers, and have them each work on a part of it. And let's say that those parts, for some reason, don't have to be sequentially dependent. They don't have to function in order of, that those 10 parts can each be resolved, and that once combined, at the end will provide a uniform answer. Well, you could have the one machine do it and have to do it linearly, because it can only devote so many resources to it at a time, or it could do each part of it at 1/10 of speed, or you can separate it and have each system do 1/10 of it and have it done in 1/10 of the time, basically. So this can happen across the human mind, as a system, programming different populations or different people.
Can I just shorten?
Yes, please, for God's sake, please.
So what you said is that you can have one computer trying to compute a problem, and it would take say 100 hours, or you can have 10 computers each working on a fraction of the problem, and you can get it done therefore in 1/10 of the time, because you have 10 of them doing a little bit, and each of those computers have their own individual computing device. But in order for these things to be all connected, they have to have certain parameters that are set to as a common in all of them in order for them to all be synced up together, or else there'll be like a malfunction in the chain. I think that's like the whole point.
Or else also there'll be too many resources devoted to trying to figure out which things are not synced to each other, which languages they're not speaking, which problem, yeah. So you have to have them having shared parameters, having a certain kind of shared identity,
so
shared memory.
So the analogy then is that an example would be certain people, and this is just to relate to like conspiracy culture, the types of things a lot of us are interested in. So it can be used for anything, but for this, we'll use it for people that receive a certain amount of propaganda or input, whatever it is, throughout their life, are going to have a higher potential to have certain opinions when it's time for them to have those opinions. Like the kids in the 90s being inundated with the recycling shit, the Captain Planet, Green Day, Earth Day rather, every day you go to the fucking tree farm, all this stuff, recycling all the time, and then a certain amount of them, if they received a bunch of other information and their lives, everything worked out the right way, they're going to be radicalized when it's time for climate change.
Yeah, well, it won't be considered radicalized by the system, but yes, yeah, exactly.
And they'll turn the switch on, and they'll be useful at that moment. And whether it's by design or not, but
they'll
it happens.
literally turn the switch on,
Right.
literally turn the switch on, and
it's a trigger of some sort, a combination of things thereof, or like you said, it's a switch though.
But yeah, it's like running a program. It's like turning on a program, and some systems, some people will their system, their unique operating system will be primed to fire that bitch off instantly, and others will take a little bit more of like of nudging, of like unconscious kind of system updating and stuff a little bit, but they'll be catching up very quickly. So it'll all kind of cascade, very quickly in real time to like yet another uniform program. So Orange Man Bad, for example.
Right, same shit. Yeah, that's why when people are like, these people are stupid. How are they believing this? And it's like, well, no, you don't understand. They've gotten a lot of stuff over like the course of like 20 years or 50 years.
Their whole life, they're devoted to their system being programmed to execute exactly, not necessarily exactly this program, like Orange Man Bad was programmed 25 years ago, but anything that would fit those parameters, and Orange Man Bad can easily fit those parameters. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, because it's coming from a certain source that they find
exactly.
Yeah,
so much of the Orange Man stuff seems very specific, but it's really kind of variable in many ways. Like you could have plugged that in, you get the same reaction as long as you plug in the exact, the right stimulus into it.
It didn't have
and you're going to get
didn't have to have anything to do with Trump. Those same
nothing
people could have been used for something completely different that wasn't Trump, based off of
absolutely
a certain amount of things. Yeah, sure, that makes sense to me.
And it will be used, and that's the thing is, like, it always it will be. It's always sitting there ready to be fired off. It was created to be fired off, at some point. Now they might not do that. Things change. They might get a superior programmer. They might change direction. Right. So, it might go another way, and that'll just be kind of some bloatware hanging in the back, or some malware, just some garbage program, some junk DNA, they might call it.
Right.
So it'll just be lost to the bin of the psyche, but it's pushing out the real human. Every bit of that kind of nonsense is every bit of that external programming is pushing out some of the real. It's replacing the authentic with the programmed.
What's interesting is you can look at like on another level involved in like conspiracy culture and how there are certain niches within conspiracy culture. These same people seem to be the same way, where they can get kind of engaged to have a certain response or support a certain thing or believe a certain thing based off of whatever parameters they had set in place at some point.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. It's a cultural, and conspiracies are so like, they're very Western in some senses, but they're, we in America, like when you break down the populations groups, America's 350 million people, which seems like a lot, but it's not a lot for a computer. Right. 350 million zeros isn't a lot for a computer to handle. So it's like all of us who, grew up from, I don't know how many people, I was born in 1978. So how many people born in 1978 in America, I'm sure I'm very similar in many ways to a non-arbitrary number of people also born in 1978. Male, white, English speaking, gay, big dick, huge dick, small dick. Oh, no. Fuck. He reprogrammed me there for a second. But,
Gay too?
So-
No, there's I know plenty of people that believe that you're gay. No, that wasn't what I was gonna say. What I was gonna say was, what's interesting, like you can even use it for like the LGBTQ stuff too. That's another great example of like, because I know plenty of gay people that are like, that LGBTQ bullshit is nonsense. I don't support that at all. And they're gay as as Buck Cherry's name is.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, yeah. It's like the mass program, and it's like not everyone adopts the update. Like how many updates are so many people behind on their operating system and their home computer. Not everybody updates every fucking program they run all the time.
And the time frame of when you decide to update. Like if you start watching a documentary about something that was designed to be affect the people that saw it when it happened, it might not have the same effect as you. A lot of
absolutely not
situations used to be kind of perfect.
Right, absolutely. But now we're in kind of a unique state, or a curious state, because we have access to the propaganda of the past, right? And propaganda is very time specific. So some things aren't like America's about freedom, right? There's this like larger archetypical, propaganda structures. But then there are like the more nuanced ones where, the propaganda for World War II is much more tailored for World War II. So when you absorb that kind of media that's really designed for a very specific time and place, and almost scientifically designed, it doesn't hit you the same, but it still might hit you. And
Sure.
So now you've got some kind of like weird kind of maybe like a side effect, from a pharmaceutical.
Well, it was like
So
recently where that there was like a Netflix documentary about Vietnam that came out. That was by what's his name, the guy that makes all those documentaries.
Malcolm X,
Yeah.
Ken Burns.
Ken Burns, yeah, and everybody watched it. Everyone was told to watch it.
Oh yeah,
And,
absolutely.
that's all based off bullshit. It was all based off original footage and all this stuff. But it's like, that shit worked. Whatever that was, like everybody all of a sudden had said, like, it got an update on what happened in Vietnam, stuff that stuff people never mentioned before. It's not any more or less accurate. It's just more information, and that was clearly what that was to me. Whether it was by design or not, but it happened. Same thing happens with like, I've always avoided this shit out of like these public court cases and stuff. Casey Anthony, Trayvon Martin, all this stuff. These Black Lives Matter things. My whole life. When I see that shit and it's something everyone's talking about, remember that social media thing? What color is the dress? Blue or gray or whatever?
Yeah.
Fucking gorilla getting killed. What's his goddamn name? LeBron James? No. Bad joke. That was bad joke. Harambe? Yeah. I'm like, when I hear about these things, I avoid them. As soon as I see a certain amount of people talking about this shit and then things go viral, I'm like, I just stay away from that out of paranoia that I'm like, I'll maybe look at it later, but
you're kind of wearing the mask. You're kind of wearing the mask, the internet mask, a bit, right? Like the media mask. Like, the normies are like, they're afraid they're going to catch your fucking fake coronavirus, right? But I mean, I definitely have the media mask on too. Anything fucking huge, I'm like, I don't want that shit in me. I don't want it. Yeah. So I put my my NPC mask on, but maybe that's more a product of my own fear, honestly.
Of course it is.
No,
I don't think it's any better to be like this or anything. I watched the Matrix trilogy recently.
Oh man, how much did that reduce your penis size?
Oh my god, it was brutal. But it was the first time I understood the movie. And I remember, like, of course, the famous scene where like Cypher's like, "Oh, why didn't I take the blue pill?" So whatever. I'm not saying like our situation is better or superior to these, like the normie types or whatever. It's just a different thing, and it's not because I'm better than them or smarter than them. It's just, if anything, it's because I'm dumber. Because when I was in school, I was too stupid to memorize the things I was supposed to remember to make sure that I fell in line. That's all it was.
It's like
propaganda.
It's like an idea. It's more to this idea again that like there's any way that you could possibly be someone and somewhere other than who you are and where you are right now.
Right.
These things are impossible. So it's an acceptance that goes into it. It's not a dialectic, and it's not a divisional thing. It's like it's so often presented that way and can feel that way, but it's really not. It's not like us them thing. It's like it's just a me. Of course I am where I'm at right now. Of course I think the things I do, and of course I feel the way I feel, because why wouldn't I? Anyone would, had they grown up, had they had the exact same experiences I did. It would literally be impossible for it to be any other way. And the proof is that here you are,
Right. This is the free will hoax.
It is the free will hoax.
Yeah.
It is the free will hoax.
Yeah.
If you were somewhere else, you would be someone else. If you were someone else, what does this shit even mean, right? I chose to do this, so I chose to be here. Well, that's fine. But I'm here talking to you right now. So if you had chosen to be somewhere else or whatever, well, who would I be talking to? What would I be doing?
Right.
Like you've complete, if we've both chosen this right now, but if you had chosen something else some other way previously, well, where would I be? What about my choices?
Well,
my choice choosing game.
That's right.
It's a fucking scam.
Everything that's existed in your universe, that's been attached to your universe, and everyone that's involved in that, all the way back to their ancestors, everything they've ever done had to happen in order for us to have this conversation today, right? For both of us, for everybody. I think that
the whole universe, everything in the whole universe has had to happen.
When people go like, I'm gonna make a decision to do something, it's like, well, no. Everything that happened in your life led to you to even have that, say that sentence right. That has nothing to do with, you didn't all of a sudden just decide that. It's.
It has everything and nothing, and you know what I mean. Like, you are the product of it, but it's not like it's like a thing to be embraced. Almost like a product. Like, I am destiny. I'm not. What is my destiny? I am destiny.
Yeah, I think that I'm not saying that there's not some sort of potential for some sort of free thinking in the moment. I think that people give themselves too much credit for how much time they spend just running, just doing things and then trying to justify the things they've done after they've already done them. I don't think people use their logical mind. Any of us. I don't think we need to for most of the time. Except for like when we're balancing checkbooks and stuff. Other than that, I think it's just we do a thing and you react. It's like having a conversation. Like, this conversation right now. Sure that things are synthesizing that are jogging your memory or these things in the moment, but that's just the way it works. It's just a constant synthesization. Is that a word? It's synthesizing. That's taking place all the time.
Synthesizing. Yeah.
Synthesization.
Right. There's no stop to it. Yeah. There's no stop to it. There's no part there is no separating the moment from the meter. There is no that's all just arbitrary, and it's fine to do in your life for some kind of thinking kind of chore, or some like self-reflective thing, but it's not, to act like it's real is a hoax in itself. To act like you can break the great chain of events and you can arbitrarily choose which among, from time immemorial to now, to you can choose where some point began and where this cause was not the effect of some other cause. Give me a break. Wake the fuck up.
You know what I want to know?
This is your first fucking day.
So, because all these people, free will is the thing that people talk about all the time, and I just to clarify again, I'm not saying that there's not a potential for some sort of in the moment. I just think that the amount of time that people are thinking for themselves instead of just reacting and living like an existence that just based on everything that's ever happened to them and anything in the world. I think that the times are few and far between at best.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of struggle. It's a lot of the struggle, and it's like a lot of the struggle that breaks us out of. If there is any free will, it's this will to. It's this like obstinate willfulness. It's this breaking of the the connection. You know, it's this idea that like I'm going to, I will be the master of my fate or something like that. Well, you were the master of your beginning. Why?
Don't get me going on these people that tell you that, like, especially people in like the conspiracy stuff, you know what I mean? These people that like call themselves awake, is like, you're awake, so now I'm not letting these motherfuckers control me all the time. And it's like, okay, so you're telling me that you know that every day is an opportunity for you to do a little bit in order to make your life better, to make your life easier, and you know that, and you're choosing not to make your life good. You're choosing to just fuck off all the time and be miserable and sad and scared or depressed and be it's like, I don't think you're choosing. I think it just is what it is. I think
it's the natural consequence of this of all the ingredients written into the thing. Of course, you know. Yeah. You're gonna get, if you fucking do all the things required to make the fucking the cake, then you're gonna get a cake. Right. You're gonna get the cake.
It's like the bread dough starting to rise and saying that the bread is choosing to rise now, even though it got the yeast and it went through the process.
Like yeast is alive. Right. Which atoms of mine do the thinking? My atoms, my Adams and Eve. Yeah, right.
Okay,
might as well try to.
So I have a question Adams. Now. I think this would be interesting. I want to hear from Abu, being the. Can I get a jihad from you real quick on this? On your your ideas, your thoughts on the idea of free will or the potentials therefore.
Free will. I mean, I haven't looked into it deeply, but I mean,
based on what you're hearing us talk about, how about that? Like a reaction to
that. Well, I actually wanted to add on to something else on what you just said. I think you mentioned about people, sort of saying that they're awakened and stuff, and they've learned the information. But what I've noticed is that in a lot of like these channels and stuff that make quote unquote conspiracy videos and stuff, it's like, okay, great, you've given us the information, but shouldn't you come up with solutions as well? Like instead of like just fear mongering and sitting in your room and being scared, shouldn't we, as a community, be able to work out solutions to kind of combat these kinds of people? I know it's easier said than done, but I feel like it's just...
You know what a good solution is, right off the bat?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Popularity contest Discord.
Exactly, yeah. Join, everyone.
Yeah. Go to the Patreon. Just kidding, just go ahead. It'd be cool if you did. If you don't, I don't care. I just want to talk to you on our Discord. That's all it is. But yeah, I see... No, I agree completely. Yeah, like, let's give some people some fucking solution. At the very least, let's not fearmonger. That's just that's unfortunate.
Like Nietzsche. Here's a little Nietzsche quote that I used to bang on about, but it says, if we affirm one single moment, we thus affirm not only ourselves but all existence. For nothing is self-sufficient, neither in us ourselves nor in things. And if our soul has trembled with happiness and sounded like a harp string just once, all eternity was needed to produce this one event. And in this single moment of affirmation, all eternity was called good, redeemed, justified, and affirmed. From The Will to Power. Right. Page 532. So.
Yeah, no, look at more sources. We're getting our shit together. We're gonna be some high level fucking carnies here pretty soon. You know what I mean? No kayfabe.
Abu, go back to your. Well, I'll tell Abu what he means, but so like the question, right? Is it Hamlet, right? To be or not to be, and it's like, it's not the question. The question is not like. To vaccinate or not to vaccinate. It's to be oneself or not to be oneself, right? And to be oneself is to be that which you were created to be. Your end is known when your beginning was written to, and you weren't the author of either. And maybe you think you were, and that's fine, but, give me some proof. Yeah. But the question, he says, to be or not to be is the question. So, if you answer the question, he's not saying it's one of the questions. He says it's the question. So if you answer the question, which is to be, then being will be in itself sufficient, and not only just sufficient, like the Nietzsche quote, it will be good, right? It might not seem good all the time, but it will be good. It will always be good. So, but not to be is like this kind of resistance, this kind of opposition. It's this kind of struggling against the river. But the water, the river will take you where it's going to take you. You can swim against it, but you'll be exhausted. You're bound by the mortal coil that you are. You can't swim, upstream forever. You'll become exhausted, and eventually it'll carry you away. You can't walk the infinite plane. There's some things that can't be done by a human in a human lifespan. So there's this idea of kind of submission. So, which is the word Islam means submission, I believe, right? Right, Abu?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Abu, do you think that you choose to do things, or what?
I think so.
Leading.
Like, yeah, in terms of like, if I'm going to like do a certain act, then I believe it's my choice. But in terms of a destiny, predestination, that exists as well, where it's written up what human beings have done and stuff. So,
I can accept that. I can accept that there's like a possibility of a combination of it in some capacity.
I mean, I
That's a
think
different thing.
again, it's something. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think again, it's a topic I haven't looked into deeply, but I did heard like a Muslim commentator say we might be compatibilists, but I'm not entirely sure about the subject, to be honest.
Kazooie, what do you think?
Oh,
Kazooie may have fallen asleep. That's okay.
sleep. Yeah.
He's a young lad. He doesn't he doesn't have the energy of some of us guys. Some of us guys, this is all we got going for us. Like, he's got a whole life ahead of him. He's got excitement. He can fall asleep on the podcast and not have to bother.
He hasn't been propelled by the divine energy, perhaps.
I know. That's exactly right.
But he used to say, what is the riddle of the Sphinx was what happens when the immovable, unstoppable force meets the immovable object? The riddle of the Sphinx. So, what happens?
Nothing.
Submission. Was the answer. I don't know. But the answer was just a word.
Oh, God, that's horrible. God, I hate these people. What a useless saying. I know that was supposed to be deep, but these fucking people.
What does Nietzsche say? That the truth is, mystical explanations are often considered deep, but the truth is, they're not even shallow.
That's exactly right. Good point.
But I do like that one. Submission.
No, it makes sense. I go. That reminded me of the basic philosophical concept because I try to like talk to my child, my 6-year-old, about some stuff, and I ask him about or I say things like be the boulder in the river. You know what I mean? When the river's trying to flow around you, be the boulder. I ask him a question like which would win? The boulder or the river? He's like, well, the boulder will win because it's stronger. And then I'm like, well, the river will wear the boulder out over time and it'll fall apart. And I'll say stuff like that to him and he'll just be like, whoa. He gets pretty pumped at that kind of stuff.
He's like, why are you trying to trick me, Dad?
Yeah, I know.
Why don't you just tell me which one to be?
No, I want
like,
I want him to think.
Yeah.
He likes to ask me where things come from. Everything. He says it in the way he says, who invented it? Like the other day he asked me, who invented music? And then he asked me who invented God. And I was like, I said, no, actually, I go, I'm going to text OS real quick and find out. I don't actually know the answer to that question, but I have somebody that I trust that's pretty much got the answer down. Now I can go to Abu too, and then go to Kazooie when he's away.
When he's not smoking kratom.
Smoking kratom. We are sponsored by a kratom company. Do you know any carny
White
companies?
Devil
Yeah,
Kratom.
I was gonna say we gotta come up with a name now. We're trying to be more legit carnies. I like being a carny is a fun thing, you know. And like I said before, we come over to the Discord because we're trying to do like a lot less intense version of these fucking carnies. When was the last time you watched one of these YouTube carnies, conspiracy people? Did you check them out?
Man. Man, I'm rocking in my chair. Sorry, I'm making so much extra noise. I don't. Gosh, when was the last time I watched a conspiracy carny? I'll tell you what. I watched Dipey, the from Take No Gnosis, from Thrice Great Hermes YouTube channel.
Oh yeah.
He had a fantastic video.
Yeah,
I watched one of his the other day.
technically a carny, absolutely is a carny technically, but I wouldn't consider those that like a carny thing. I guess I meant.
Oh, you like legit carny?
Yeah,
like
we're not,
like
we're wannabe
carny?
carnies. We're not legit carnies. You know what I mean?
Oh
That's
yeah.
what I mean.
God, I don't know what the last shoot carny video I watched was. I got to think about it here. On YouTube, man, I don't know. You got one? You got a carny video you watched lately?
I think I watched. Yeah, I did. I watched an Alex Jones interview. He was recently on with some reporter guy that everyone likes. He wears the beanie all the time. Do you know who this is, Abu? He's like this.
No, but I know he was with Jay Dyer recently on the protest.
Jay Dyer was on there. We don't bring up Jay Dyer.
Jay Dyer worked for Alex Jones.
Yeah, he worked
Abu.
for him.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. He was on this. He was on the show, and it was him. It was Michael Malice, and it was some other carny, some guy that's like some independent reporter that wears like a beanie all the time, and he makes a bunch of money. And they were on there, and they were talking about Trump and what's going on with Trump, and they brought up an interesting thing that I didn't know, that the last three Supreme Court justices that were put in place had all worked on the George W. Bush defense team for Bush v. Gore. Isn't that interesting?
I don't see anything important about that.
I'm saying they became Supreme Court justices.
I'm just
Oh, I was like, what? That was interesting to me because usually this stuff isn't interesting at all. But I was like, wow, that's like fascinating.
Did the Trumpster name 3 of them or just 2?
2 of them.
Two's got to be a lot, right? That's going to be a pretty high number of Supreme Court carnies.
Oh my God, it's 50% of one. Wait.
No, it's no.
Yeah, no, it's a lot.
No, but
It's out of control, but it is what it is. So the whole thing, like with the Trump stuff, is like there's so much fascinating stuff. Like I actually watched Rudy Giuliani the other day, right? Do his he came out and did his press conference, and everyone was real excited about that.
Did he talk about 9/11 being fake and gay?
No, he didn't talk about that. But for some reason now everybody thinks Rudy Giuliani is like Jesus, even though he was the mayor of New York during 9/11. But what he said,
Peace be
upon him, and what he said on Abu's Christmas 9/11, what he said during the thing was he was explaining, like, because the mainstream media is trying to say that there's no evidence at all that that there was like some interference in the election. And they're like, well, we actually have signed affidavits from people like admitting that they saw interference, like they saw people doing like multiple ballot counts and like getting rid of ballots and stuff. It's like, so that might not be real, like it might be people lying, but it's still evidence. So I think people are confusing, or the media is using the idea of evidence to confuse people, where they think when they think of evidence, they're not thinking courtroom evidence, which is everything, whether it's true or false, that gets brought up, versus when someone asks you for evidence of a fact to prove a fact. So that's kind of like a little bit of a wizard trick there that they're pulling. And anyway, they had the affidavits, so I was like, oh, that's fascinating. It was just on my work, and I was so mad at myself because I kept on paying attention, comprehending everything, and so that was kind of a carny too. Giuliani's a huge carny.
It's interesting that they have these talismanic words, to steal a term from Michael Tsarian, but they have these talismanic words that really can snag us, like affidavit, you know.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like, well, someone did, if it's real, someone did sign that shit. Someone did, basically swear that what they're saying is true. But people are fucking liars, man. They'll say all kinds of crazy shit,
Right.
And it's like, man, what does this mean? But also, people are honest and they won't say all kinds of crazy shit. So, what does it mean?
This is how paranoid I am. In my head, as he's explaining this, holding up the signed affidavits, I go, he doesn't legally have to tell the truth that those are even signed affidavits right now. You know what I mean? He's just on
no
TV.
one's under any compulsion to tell the truth.
Yeah, so
ever.
That's
even under
amazing.
court. Even under court, you can lie all you want to. Right. They're not going to fucking crucify you. They might throw you in jail for some period of time for lying. They might, but no one can make you tell the truth. Yeah. And certainly in some goddamn machine, gonna tell you whether you're telling the truth or not. So it's
I don't know. I think the whole thing's is pretty nuts, and I haven't been paying any attention other than that. Like I have no idea what. I know right wingers are confident that he's gonna prove that it was all fixed, and then everyone else is like it's nothing. And then I watched that one thing and I didn't get it. All I got was what Giuliani talked about. I have no opinion, or I don't know anymore.
Well, it's great. Yeah, no, it's just so interesting because it's this idea of the evidence hoax. It's like, or as I like to call it, the evidence hoax. But the idea that evidence is worth a fuck, because really it's whoever gets to decide what counts as evidence and what doesn't is really like the most powerful, person in the room, because someone will tell you like, well, there's no evidence for this, and then you say, well, what do you consider evidence? And they'll say, well, I consider X, Y, and Z evidence. Okay, so if I produced X, Y, and Z for you, you would consider that evidence? Yes. Okay. Well, and this is back to the science hoax too. It's the same shit. Okay. Well, so then let's say that I was able to produce X, Y, and Z, because lay people, they might not know, like, they do say that they're basing their opinion off of it, their position off of it. But it doesn't mean they have some like, extremely high standard, but it is their standard, and that's, in this freedom world, that's what they're free to have, right? So if you meet that standard and then they just shoot it down, it's like, what the fuck? Which they always do, right? So you're like, what is the proof that Obama wasn't born in America or whatever? What is the proof that he was? Well, what is the proof that he wasn't? Well, it's this birth certificate. Okay, well, I found this birth certificate. Well, now I don't accept that as the evidence. But you said you would accept that as the evidence.
Right.
Well, the fucking goalpost changes, like always.
Did you notice that the proof that he's born here and the proof that he isn't born here is the exact same proof, just the opposite?
Isn't that a curious thing?
Yeah.
Isn't it's almost as if the singular proof works equally well for both sides.
Right. So what the fuck?
Isn't that some shit?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No, I always thought
so what is it? It isn't evidence that convinces people. It's just mind control. It's just the programming. Yeah. There is no convincing. It's just being fucking. People reject what's right in front of them. The sky could be on fucking fire, and you could point it out, and they would say, "Well, it's always been that way."
Right.
That's the way it's always been.
Right.
If they acknowledge it at all, they'll just say it's always been that way. So.
Yeah. No,
and then you're gaslit, and you're like, "Well, fuck, maybe has it? Has it always been this way?"
Well, that's why, with all this stuff. Because a lot of people are like, because it kind of sounds like we're saying, you can never know any truth, and that's not at all what we're saying. So,
well, that would be a truth in itself if it were true.
Right. Exactly. So, good point. That's a fantastic point. So, what I'm saying personally is with these things, what I do is I recognize when something's being pushed to try to, either it's to create a narrative for somebody, whether it's some corporate interest or whatever. It's being pushed for a reason that is different than what the information that's being conveyed is trying to explain or justify. So it's with school shootings or any of this stuff, it's well, that shit's not gonna statistically happen if it is real. You know what I mean? In my family, so I'm just gonna go ahead and not pay attention to this and reject it as true, even if maybe it is completely fake. You know what I mean? I can't even get to the bottom of that evidence, but I can have an opinion on it, and then understand that its general purpose isn't actually to inform me or to make me
feel safe or to protect me. It's just to mind control me. So I'm just going to go ahead and reject that anyway.
Right. Yeah. Propaganda is not logos,
Right.
This confusion of like propaganda for logos is quite detrimental to the human psyche, and it's prevalent. I mean, it's ubiquitous. I think I'm very well informed. Well, you know everything there is to know about fucking propaganda. That's all you know.
Right.
There's a bunch of fucking propaganda.
Yeah.
So what does it mean to be well informed? Who fucking cares? You'd be better off not knowing anything.
I know these high processor, high IQ people are like, they're like fantastic conduits for the propaganda because they can just memorize everything. So like, I know some people that
They serve as great little fucking machines.
Yeah, remember in,
CPUs.
In I think was it in communist Russia that they like kind of coined the term "useful idiot"?
Yeah, supposedly. Yeah, that's a that's the term for the willing participant in the fucking the people who will deny objective reality right to its face.
That's why, like, these people that
to be hopeful. Well, it's one thing to be hopeful. It's one thing to have like a naive hope, a misplaced hope, a unjustified hope. It's one thing to hope to God that the alcoholic parent will become some other person, basically. Ultimately, will stop drinking and become someone else. It's even though all the evidence in the world to the contrary is present before you every fucking moment of every day of your life. But it's another thing altogether to have this like belief that they will,
right.
And to live your life as if they will.
Right. Yeah, that's like living in hell.
Yeah, I would think that would be quite up there with it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's miserable. That's way to bring her down. Jesus Christ.
Abu, what's the deal with living in hell?
Oh, that's a good question.
Very bad. Painful.
Physically.
Very bad.
Painful.
Don't your people believe that, like, when you die, some fucking crazy-looking woman is going to sit on top of your ass if you weren't until the final day?
I'll be right back.
Fair enough. I'm not sure about that until the final, how you've done as well before the day of judgment. There's also the life of the grave. It's called Al-Barzakh, where
some crazy woman is going to sit on your chest and fucking make you crazy.
I know that there could be some painful experiences in there, depending on how you've done. It could be a positive experience as well. And then ultimately, in the end, we believe everyone will be raised. That will be the day of resurrection, which will be like long. And then after that, the day of judgment, and then heaven, hell, basically. But in terms of the sitting on the thing, I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it.
Well, I can tell you for sure. You might as well just write it down and pretend it's fact. So I'll tell you what. When I was not, it was never really much of an atheist, but I was kind of a fake atheist,
Yeah.
But when my son was born, and newborns cry, newborn babies, part of being a newborn is crying. For the first, I can't remember how long it is, but it's a very big part of those early days. So, but you hear like the wah that the media praise, right? But it isn't like that. Each baby has their own cry, their own voice. And my son would he would cry, and it would sound like this. He'd say, "Allah, Allah."
No way.
And I remember thinking, it made a very big impact on me. And I thought, man, here he is saying Allah, and I knew from there, I knew before, but I knew from there for sure that God was real, for sure.
We have a belief that babies, they're born Muslim, but not in the sense that they...
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. Everyone's born Muslim.
Like a natural inclination to like a
absolutely right, correct path. Right.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. You're much more versed on this than me. So
they wrapped my kid in a towel as soon as he came out.
Swaddling clothes like baby Moses, or Oasis, as Abu's people say. Musa, right? Musa?
Musa, yeah, from Moses, yeah. It's similar to like how obviously people they have biblical names here. It's just that ours are in Arabic.
All right, what do we have? Hold on a second. All right, so what do we got? We've been going for a little over an hour. I just want to say hello to everyone that's still out there viewing with us. I hope if you guys want to be hanging out drinking, you can be drinking because it is 5. It's 9:11 somewhere, so you can have a few drinks with us and hang out. What I had something that I wanted to talk about because I had been going over some stuff like I was trying to encourage the people on the Discord to contact my local radio station to troll them because I listen to this radio station all the time in the morning and they're just like some old liberal guys, like some guys in their 50s, and they were just talking and playing about Trump and stuff, and I just troll them all the time, and I was trying to get people to participate. Now, I'm not gonna give out their number here, but I'll give it out if you guys join the Discord and you guys can join in because OS, you ended up texting them in, didn't you? I did. What was that? What was that one about? That was I can't remember what that day was. What were we going over that day? You recall?
They were asking to their radio question was in one word describe 2020.
Oh yeah, what was your answer?
Cuckoldry.
Cuckoldry. Yeah, they text back, they're like, could you give us more than just a word, so it's something that we could use?
Yeah. They're like, can it be something we can use? Something.
Yeah,
then I said censorship.
Censorship. Yeah. That's funny. The other day they were talking about Illinois being shut down again for governor's orders from Governor Pritzker, and they were like playing audio from Governor Pritzker, and he's like, "The reason we've chose to go back into quarantine measures is because we believe science." And then I messaged him in. Let's see, hold on. I said, is there some sort of supreme council of science that the rest of us aren't privy to that Governor Pritzker gets to see, And they started making fun of me on the show for being a science denier because I said that. They didn't like that.
Tremendous.
The other one recently, they were talking about, this is just kind of a fun one. They were talking about people doing holiday cards. Do you do holiday cards, like for Christmas from your family?
Yeah, we're big on holiday cards here. Yeah,
okay.
We send them.
Are you the type of person?
Not holiday, Christmas. So.
All right, calm down. You're like just as radical as Abu. That's fine. So
I know I'm fucking fired up now.
Well, that's fine. Okay, are you the people that do you send them like a list, like a note, explaining like what you guys did in the last year, how you're all doing, or just a picture, or what?
We send a card that has our names on it.
Why don't some people they write down they give you like a little
newsletter. And I love getting the newsletter. Okay. I love getting the newsletter for my family that does send the newsletter. Love it.
Yeah, the newsletter. See, to me, it's some, especially nowadays with coronavirus, you think people would be like, let's relate to people. You know what I mean? Let's we're all going through kind of the same thing. Let's not do the normal bullshit where we pretend that our lives are perfect and extra better than everyone else. Although I respect those people where they're like, my husband, he's 6'3", he's got a perfect job. His name's Chad. You know what I mean?
Big dick.
Yeah, I got kids. I'm teaching them to play the Flalamazoo, and they're in college, but they're 13. And that's the woman. She's like, I've got a full-time job as a lawyer, but I'm also a full-time student. And
I support.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? They're just they just want to make you feel like shit. They're just trying to brag the whole time. And it's like, I'm
myself on that one, boss. God damn, sorry.
That's funny. Well,
pop myself.
Well, they want people to whatever. I think they're projecting, but maybe I don't know. I'm an optimist. You know what I mean? I like to be like the glasses half full kind of a guy, but that shit makes me puke. You know what I mean? And these people are there. It's like, now we're in coronavirus. Let's get a little honest. Let's try to be like, we're all going through something. Maybe it's an opportunity to relate. So I'm listening to the radio show, and they're talking about Christmas cards, and they're like, what are you guys going to do in your Christmas cards this year? Well, they did say holiday, by the way. That's why I was saying it. They're like, because of coronavirus, to connect to people. And I said, I'm going to send them a picture of my children dressed as Tiny Tim. And I said, and then I just put in quotes. I said,
God, this is what I know.
I said, I'm not going to be doing a full newsletter this year. I'm just going to keep it real. I'm just going to say, Happy Holidays. We're broke. And they got a little laugh out of that, actually. They weren't triggered like they usually are. The other day they were talking about like Trump and Biden, and I just wanted to try to poke at him a little. And I was like, yeah, Trump sucks. He's just as much of a war criminal as Obama anyway. And then they read that out loud on the show and started laughing at me for calling Obama a war criminal. Where does he come up with this stuff?
And it wasn't like when he said he was going to shut down Guantanamo. Never did. Yeah.
Right. Well, they were talking about socialism the other day, and they were talking about...
Uh-oh.
Yeah, they're like, when I hear people complain about socialism, it's like, I don't understand what they're complaining about. And he goes, to me, socialism is defined as when the government tells you what you can say. That's his definition of socialism, by the way. So I said that socialism, obviously, what it is. Like, it's when the state owns the means of, like, the production of goods and services. I was like, it's we have versions of socialism now. It's not all bad, but it's not what you said it was. And then the guy, you know what he did? Made fun of me for saying that. He made fun of me in front of everybody again. It's like, I can't win with this fucking guy. He just hates me.
Well, he had his own evidence, He had his own evidence of socialism, which was he conveniently defined himself. He's like, what I define socialism as. Well, okay, so,
It was funny, though.
We'll just use your definition.
Because he's like, it's when you can't complain about things without there being repercussions. That's socialism or something. And he goes, and I don't want to hear, like this is like 5 minutes later. He goes, I don't want to hear these farmers complaining about socialists when they're just receiving all these tax credits. And so I did text him this. I said, wasn't your definition of socialism when someone won't let you give your opinion freely? And then 10 minutes later you said, I don't want to hear these fucking farmers complain.
Did he say F-bomb?
No, I just sent that to him.
Oh, okay.
I was just trolling him. Oh. He didn't read that one out loud, obviously.
What a bitch. What a bitch. That's, you got to admire that Carney skill, too. I'd be like, let's read it, because he sent it. Better read it, because this person sent it.
They were talking about, they said that they're reading a news story, and they're like, there's good things. They were reading like a news, like a dry read or something, but they were like going over the news, and they're like, yeah, there's promising developments in the Pfizer vaccine for coronavirus. And I texted him, I said, did that ad copy come with a quote saying that there's promising, or is that your guys' opinion? Where did you get that information from? And they didn't respond to that one either. I was like, how do you know it's promising? Did Pfizer tell you to say that, or did your PR Newswire or whatever just like send out from AP? Is that like what everyone read? And they didn't say anything. And then
or it's everything that has vaccines promising? Is it is it all because it's all scientism is like it's all just right over the future. I mean, it's all in the future, and it's all just right over the horizon. And if people like you, really, to be honest, people like you would just get on board, you would understand that we're just one more discovery away. It's just like, I mean, the sun is going to go down today, and then tomorrow, we're going to have that vaccine.
Right.
It's very Soviet. It's very fucking. It's always this promissory note. It's always like utopia tomorrow.
Right.
We promise it'll be tomorrow. If we can just keep going on the path we're going, don't you see all the progress we've made? Well, no. No, I don't quite see it.
Yeah, I don't see it. I see it.
I mean, defined as what? If you want to break it down, maybe I can agree with there having been some progress in some areas, but no, is this large blanketed thing? No, I don't agree with your nonsense.
You know what the kicker is?
But
kicker, though, is
What?
in the end, I went to Google and I typed in promising Pfizer vaccine, promising results, and it was on the cover of every single news story in the country.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought, that was implied.
It
Was
is.
the
I just wanted to like verify it to
programming.
myself. You know what I mean? That they were trying, because they were selling it like they were like, that's what reminded me of it when you're saying like, oh, he's like a Carney pro. So some of the stuff is just coming up in the spot, and other things he's just straight up reading it, and that is what it is.
Let's get ready to wrap this up, boss. What do you say? What do you say we, let me read a little something here. Talking about promissory note.
Okay.
We've got something coming up in the future, our deep dive into a hoax of its own. Though I'm not for sure it's a hoax, but it sounds like a hoax.
Which one?
But we're going to go into this topic, and we're going to find out. Exactly all the information we can, and we're going to let it be determined whether it's a hoax or not. The 1976 Chowchilla kidnapping, boss.
Oh yeah, let's get into it. I'm excited about that one because not a lot of people know about that, but it's something that gets
They
brought up in
don't.
the
You'd
media.
think they would.
Yeah, it gets brought up.
You'd
every
think-
couple of years.
You would think everyone would know about this, but apparently, in 1976, there was an abduction of 26 children, school children, and a school bus driver, ages 5 to 14, in Chowchilla, California, on July 5th, 1976. The three kidnappers imprisoned their victims in a buried box truck within a quarry in Livermore, California, intending to demand a ransom for their return. After about 16 hours underground, the driver and children were able to dig themselves out and escape. The quarry owner's son, Frederick Newhall Woods IV, and two of his friends, brothers James and Richard Schoenfeld, were arrested and convicted of the crime. By 2015, both Schoenfelds had been paroled, while Woods remains incarcerated as of fall of 2019. Quite a story.
Yeah,
Quite a story.
They buried children alive, and then they came out and they were perfectly
Not just some.
right.
Not just some. 26 children. 26 children. Buried alive. How deep were they buried? Do you remember? 16 feet or something? Was
Yeah,
it?
it was really deep. We'll go into it. We'll go into it. This is just the teaser. If anyone's interested in that, we are going to start going into some of these kind of topics that are like more obscure hoaxes and see where that goes. Just like to get us out, I just wanted to let you know one thing that happened to me this last week that was interesting was my wife, because you know we've been doing the cast now for a while. We got a few episodes under our belt, and I'm pretty proud of the cast. But my wife got a hold of my phone, and she saw that we were texting, and she found out that we refer to it as the cast. It's humiliating. And I was like, oh, no. I was like, it's not like that. It's like, we know we're doing it like we know it's funny to say that. She goes, oh, so you're being ironic, huh? You're being super ironic. So that just broke my heart. So anyway, everyone out there,
Even worse.
this is the fucking cast. You know what I mean? This
That's
is the fucking
right.
cast. This is what we're doing here. You're going to get it in here. You might not want it, but you're going to need it, and we're going to shove it in your ass. Abu, give us some closing words real quickly.
Yeah, first of all, I learned a lot from you guys as usual. A lot of topics that, I haven't covered personally, so it's always nice to hear that. And I wish everyone a good day. And always, of course, subscribe and join the Discord. Can't forget that.
That's right.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like
Exactly.
button.
Leave a
Join the Patreon.
comment.
And then check out the Patreon.
Yeah. See if you can offend me in the comments. Insult me. Bring it. If you got the guts, bring it. Or just say something nice. That'd be nice too. Anyway, all right. So thanks for checking it out. Like I said, join the Patreon, patreon.com/popularity contest podcast 33. We'll see you next time. Thanks.